Hey guys, this is going to be a quick HTML tutorial. If you enjoy this, let me know and I'll make more videos like this. So the first thing that you need to do is create a file. We're going to call this index.html. You can either have it index.html or index.htm. It doesn't matter. So we'll go with HTML for now. So the first thing that you need to do is to create the HTML tag. The HTML tag basically tells the browser that this is a HTML document. So if I refresh it, you'll notice that it creates a blank page, but there's nothing on the page right now. So the next tag we're going to go through is the head tag. The head tag is basically where anything that's not content is going to go. So stuff like styles, scripts, all that goes in the head tag. So let's go ahead with a simple tag. That's the title tag, and we're going to say this is the HTML tutorial, like that, and we will refresh the page, and you'll notice that up here the title changes to HTML tutorial. That's it for the head tag for now. We'll go with the next tag, which is the body tag. The body tag is where all your content's going to go, so stuff like all your text and forms and images, all that's going to go in your body tag. So let's get started with the first thing. We need to add some content. So let's add some content here, and we will refresh this page, and you'll notice that it says content here. But we typically, if we want to space it out, if we want to add content next line, you'll notice that it doesn't put it on the next line. It just puts it right next to the content here. To put it on the next line, we have a tag called the BR tag. Now, this is a self-closing tag because there's nothing between the tag that you need to put. So if you just put a slash like this at the end of the tag, it automatically closes it. So you don't need to open it, put something in the middle, and then close it. This will just open and close it at the same time. If I refresh this page, you'll notice that the content goes to the next line. Now, that's one way of doing it. There's also another way of doing this. So if I have content here like this, and I add another div which says content next line, like that, you'll notice that I'm using a div tag. The div is basically a divider tag. So when I refresh this, you'll notice that it says content here and it says content next line, just like it did above, but this is using the div tag. The next tag we're going to learn is the paragraph tag. So paragraph tags are similar to div tags, except they leave a little bit more spacing in the middle. So I'm going to go ahead and copy a paragraph here, and I'm going to add a paragraph tag. Now I'm going to copy the same tag over so you can notice the difference. And if I refresh this page now, you'll notice that there's content here, and then the paragraph tag leaves a little bit of spacing in the middle so you can add more text afterwards. So here's my recommendation. If you're going to just have content that's just like this, then use a paragraph tag. Otherwise, use a div tag. And we'll go into more detail later about that. The next tag that we want to look at is the header tag. So if I want to add some title on the top of this document, well, how would I do that? Well, one of the ways of doing that is to add a header tag. So if I do h1, some title here, and add another h1 closing tag, then if I refresh this page, you'll notice that it creates a title at the top of the page. And let's say this is just too big. We can't really use this title. It's too big for this document. Then we can make it smaller by shifting the number from 1 to 3. And if you refresh it, then it will become smaller. So the header tags come from h1, like this, to h6. h6 being the smallest header tag. If I want to make it even smaller, then I can change this to h6 and it will be really small. So let me go ahead and do that, and I will refresh this page, and you'll notice that it becomes really small header tag. So that's your header tag. Let's change it back to let's do h2. So when you refresh this page, you'll notice that it gets bigger. Let's say you want to separate the content from the header tags. Well, one way of doing that is to use an HR. HR is a horizontal rule which is similar to the BR tag. It's self-closing, but if you refresh the page now, you'll notice that there's a line in the middle, and that's one way of adding a line in the middle. The next tag we're going to go through is the bold tag. So let's say that you want to make lorem here bold. How would you do that? Well, one way of doing it is to just add a bold tag around that word. and if you notice that it will make it bold. Now let's say this ipsum, you want to make it italicized. To do that, you can add an I, and if I refresh this, you'll notice that ipsum becomes italicized. Let's say you want to make is underlined. How would you do that? Well, there's a tag that's U basically, and if you add a U like that, you'll notice that it becomes underlined. Let's say I want to make simply italicized, but I don't want to use the I tag. Then another way of doing it is just to add the EM tag. EM is emphasis. If I add that tag, you'll notice that it also becomes italicized. So those are ways to change text around. Now the next thing that we want to look at is to add an image. So let's go ahead and add an image here. So if I want to add an image, here's how I do it. I create an image tag. The source is the content where the image resides. So I need to find something. So let's go to google.com. Oh my god. Google.com, and once it loads, let's say we want to take this Google and put it on our page. If I right click and copy image URL, then you'll notice that I have a URL which has a PNG ending. If you don't have this and you're not on a Mac, right click, go to properties, and copy the URL. So if you want to do that, just paste that in here and refresh the page, and you'll notice that Google shows up on your page now. So that's how you add an image. It's really easy. Now the next tag that we want to go through is linking. What pages are made up of linked documents? So if you want to add a link to Google, you would do that by creating an href and just creating a link. So this is where you want to go to, and this is what you want to say on your page. Now let me wrap this in a div tag because I want to add some spacing so that it doesn't show up on the same line. If I refresh it, you'll notice that Google shows up down here. If I click on it, then it goes to google.com, and that's because the link is google.com right here, and it says Google Go here, which shows up on the page right here. Now let's say I don't want to redirect the same page, I want to create a new tab. To do that, I just add a target and underscore blank. What this does is if I refresh this page, you'll notice that if I click on this, instead of redirecting this page, it creates a new tab and goes to google.com. So that's linking. The next thing that we want to go through is tables. So let's say I want to add a table on this page, something that says name and then Google on the right side and address on the left side and the Google's address on the right side. So to do that, I created a table tag like that. Now when I create the table tag, if I refresh the document, you'll see that nothing happens. That's because we need to add a few more things. Now the tr tag is a row. So if I want to add a row and I want to make a column, this is a single column, so I can name this name. So if I show you how this looks, if I refresh this, you'll see that it says name on the left side. Now if I want to add something else next to it, let me add a border so you can see how it looks. So if I refresh this, now you'll see a border around the table which says name. Now if I want to add something right next to this, then I can add another td tag, which is another column, and just say Google like that. And if I refresh it, you'll notice that next to name comes Google, and that's because there's two different cells right here. So if I want to add, let's say, address below the name, then I can create another tr, which is another row, and I can say address. And if I add another next to it, this says Google's address here. And if I refresh this page, oops, then you'll notice that it comes up right below it, and there's your address, and there's your Google's address here. So the tr tag is the row, so this is the row right here, and the td tag is the column in that row. So name comes up first, Google comes up next in that row, and same for address. That's pretty much it for now. If you guys like this, let me know and I'll create more tutorials like this. Thanks.